I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, Boris Johnson has now won the second round of voting by Conservative MPs. He took 126 votes, a convincing win. But that's part of the story. There's another part of the story, which I will just let you explain and get into. So Boris Johnson winning, though it was a decisive and convincing win, is not the real big story here. Alexander, get into what happened today with the votes for the next, who will essentially become the next UK Prime Minister.
Yes, as you absolutely rightly say, I mean, the fact that Boris Johnson came first and is actually extending his lead is no surprise. As we discussed in our program that we did just after the first round, he's clearly the outstanding candidate for those who want to see Brexit happen on the 31st of October. And the pro-Brexit forces within the Conservative Party, or those that want to see the Conservative Party survive, now consulting around. It will be a major upset now if he doesn't go ahead and become a candidate, one of the two candidates that will be put to the party's membership, and if he doesn't in fact win that vote and become our next Prime Minister. But as you rightly said, Alex, there is another story, which is the rise of Rory Stewart. Now, Rory Stewart only came fourth in this round, with 37 MPs voting for him. But it had been widely expected that he would be eliminated. And instead, his support is increasing. It increased more than that of any other candidate between the first round and the second. And the reason that is interesting is because within this field of conservatives competing to become the party's next leader and Prime Minister, Rory Stewart is the arch pro-EU Remainer. He is a Tory aristocrat. He is the son of a diplomat. His father was a spy in the British intelligence service, which he was widely expected to lead, but in the event didn't. There's been Rory Stewart himself has also been a diplomat. He went to Eton College, which is our leading public school. He's also probably been a spy, though that's not absolutely certain. And of course, he's admitted to drug use in his youth when he was on holiday in Afghanistan and apparently smoked opium at a wedding party.
But
so
did
he's
it
a
inhale.
but didn't inhale. So he's a colourful character, very charming, has never made any sort of impact in British politics up to now, and yet he is growing in strength from one round to the other. And what that says to me is that there is still very, very strong group of MPs within the Conservative Party who, despite the rise of Nigel Farage, despite the growth of the Brexit Party, despite the disastrous showing of the Conservative Party in the European Parliament elections, where they were obliterated by the Brexit Party, despite the bad results for the Conservatives in the Peterborough by-election, where they were forced into third place by the Brexit Party in a seat, Peterborough, which a parliamentary seat, which for most of the last 20 years, the Conservative Party has held. Despite this, it is now clear a minimum of 37 Conservative MPs who are prepared to vote for a pro-EU Remainer candidate in Rory Stewart, and who seem to be committed to stopping Brexit at all costs. Now, given that the Conservative Party does not have a majority in the House of Commons, that means that Boris Johnson when he becomes Prime Minister in July, which he is, I think, now certain to do, is going to have a massive fight on his hands.
A massive fight to get the UK out of the EU.
Exactly.
Those 37 votes are going to grow to how much, do you think?
Well, I reckon to about 50 or 60. But even if it's only 37, that's still a significant number. Rory Stewart has said that he will oppose a no-deal Brexit under any circumstances. These 37 MPs who voted for him, Conservative MPs who voted for him, presumably all agree, in which case Boris Johnson faces the same problem that has afflicted the Brexiters right the way through, that there is no majority for a no-deal Brexit in the House of Commons, and apparently a risk that if he presses ahead with a no-deal Brexit, these 37 MPs will vote against him on a vote of confidence, bringing down the government and forcing a general election.
Alexander, can you say that the strategy of the Remainers and the Globalists and the integrationists, the George Soros types of this world that do not want to see the UK leave the European Union, can you say that one of their strategies may actually be, you know what, coming to the realization and saying, you know what, Boris Johnson is going to become the next prime minister. We'll accept that, but we'll derail his efforts by infiltrating not only the Conservative Party with as many Remainers as we can, but also infiltrating the Labour Party with as many Remainers as we can. In other words, kind of swelling the support for Remain to a point where Boris Johnson is, like you said, is kind of, you know, handcuffed into not being able to get a no-deal Brexit through.
I think it's even worse than that, actually. I think that's basically right. But it seems to me what they're mobilizing now in order to stop a no-deal Brexit on the 31st of October is that they're preparing the ground for an outright revocation of Article 50. That there will be a vote in the House of Commons to revoke Article 50 and a vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, and they will try to force a general election. And I think that's the strategy now. So what I find extraordinary about this is that they're prepared to do that and risk the internal stability of the United Kingdom and the future of both the Conservative and Labour parties. But they are obviously so obsessed with stopping Brexit that they're prepared to do it at any cost.
So Rory Stewart, in that essence, is kind of like their Trojan horse in this matter.
He is indeed. That's exactly
what came out of nowhere, and now all of a sudden he's in the race. And actually, I think he came up ahead of Dominic Raab, correct?
Absolutely, Dominic Raab, who was the other arch Brexiter in this vote, the only one who spoke openly about the need for a no-deal Brexit, has been eliminated. So Rory Stewart has done better than him, and as I said, his strength appears to be growing. And of course, he's got the media pack behind him, the pro-Remainer media behind him, and he's got the CBI, which claims to represent the business community, though I question that. They're also backing him. So he's got a lot of powerful people behind him, and he's growing in strength, even though I don't think there's any chance that the Conservative Party membership will ever vote for him as party leader or as prime minister. But the whole strategy now, it's quite clear to me, is to stop Brexit.
Does it worry you that all of this is happening and you have Boris Johnson about to become the prime minister? And Boris Johnson is not exactly the most sound of mind, the most stable, character out there. And he's going to have this huge movement, in both parties. To, like you said, either abolish Article 50 or to somehow sabotage, a no-deal Brexit. Boris Johnson may not be the strongest kind of, person to take on this lot of people.
I agree. It worries me enormously, and the reason I worry is because of the way in which the internal stability of the United Kingdom is being put at risk. Because let's go back to the original point, one which I repeat: whatever your view about Brexit, it is what the British people voted for. If you do not proceed with Brexit, you are denying democracy, because you are setting aside that which the British people voted for. That is going to create enormous anger and potential for instability in Britain. And you're absolutely right. Boris Johnson is not the ideal prime minister under any circumstances, and perhaps especially not now, when we are heading into an absolutely enormous potential political crisis. And I think that needs to be said very clearly. And I am astonished at the complacency of the British elite, that they're prepared to risk the stability of their own country out of some sort of devotion to an EU project, when their own people have made so clear that they don't want to be anything to have anything to do with it.
Well, the masks are coming off, and obviously the elite have no allegiance to the United Kingdom. I think that's become pretty obvious at this point. What if? It's become absolutely clear. They have no allegiance to the United Kingdom. They have no allegiance to the Conservative Party if they're Conservatives, or say they're Conservatives, and they have no allegiance to the Labour Party if they say they're Labour. Their allegiance is to Brussels. Yeah.
I don't see any other way to explain it.
Yeah, their allegiance is to the globalist, integrationist, neoliberal ideology. That's for sure. What is Nigel Farage looking at right now? What's going through his head?
Well, what Nigel Farage says, I don't think you need to go into Nigel Farage's head, because Nigel Farage speaks very plainly. One of the very few people who do, by the way, in Britain at the moment. But he speaks very plainly. He says the Brexit Party must continue and must grow, because if the Brexit Party disappears, we are not going to get Brexit. Because he looks at the rise of Rory Stewart within the Conservative Party. He sees the intrigues that are going on within the Labour Party, which we discussed in a recent video. He also sees that Boris Johnson, the so-called champion of Brexit, is not a reliable political leader, as we have discussed often. And he also reminding people that Boris Johnson did, in fact, at one point, vote for Theresa May's deal, her deal to withdraw from the European Union, which would, in fact, have subordinated Britain to the European Union. And he says, you need me, and you need the Brexit Party even more now than you have ever done. Because if we weren't there, there wouldn't be any possibility of a pro-Brexit prime minister emerging out of this process. And almost certainly what would happen is on the 31st of October, there would be another extension of Brexit until the point came when it never took place at all, and the whole idea of having a Brexit was quietly dropped.
Oh boy, we're not out of the woods yet. That's for damn sure.
No. I mean, this thing never ends until it finally ends. I will believe that there is going to be a Brexit if and when there is a no-deal Brexit, and at the moment that's not definitely on the horizon at all.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much, guys. If you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below and click on that notifications bell to make sure you get notifications every time we push out a new video. Please donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and now Subscribestar as well. That helps us out a lot. And you can follow us on Instagram, theduran_com. And you can download an ebook on Brexit that we have. Alexander, you actually wrote the foreword to that ebook. Do you want to say a couple quick words about it?
Yes, I mean, it follows actually very much some of the things we've been saying on this program, because this ebook brings together things that we were saying in, I think it was about 5 of our videos, but the foreword brings it all together and explains how we at the Duran were saying way back in 2016 that it plotted to stop or reverse Brexit. That would provoke a reaction by the British people and would create and would result in a huge political crisis. And that is exactly where we are in Britain now, with the establishment indeed blocking to stop Brexit, and with the Brexit Party rising across England and Wales, sweeping across England and Wales, every region apart from London, as it tries to fight for what the British people voted for in that democratic referendum, which took place in June 2016. So if you want to understand Brexit, if you want to understand the crisis that Britain is in, it's all there in our book.
All right, and you can get that book. The link is in the description box down below. And of course, go to the Duran shop and pick up a t-shirt, pick up a V-neck like what I'm wearing. You can pick up a long sleeve shirt like what Alexander is wearing. And I also know that Alexander has on his desk somewhere our famous, one-of-a-kind Duran magic mugs. And they are magic because they do boost your geopolitical knowledge to godlike levels.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's how we're able to do these programs, because we're able to sustain ourselves through them and enlarge our minds by drinking out of these cups. Because look how beautifully they're made. They're incredibly solid. They're strong. They keep tea, which is what I usually drink, but coffee. They work perfectly for coffee or for hot chocolate, or indeed beer, if you prefer, because they're quite big. They're what, 15 ounces?
15 ounces, yeah.
Yeah, they're big. They're big mugs, but you know they're beautiful to hold and handle. They're extremely solid. They feel great. They have our logo there, the gold logo of the double-headed eagle. This one does. This is my mug, and as I said, when you drink out of it, it's refreshing, it's invigorating, and in the best sense, it enlarges your mind, so you have this prodigious understanding of geopolitics. And here we have the other mug, which is my wife's beloved mug, with the coat of arms of Moscow, which of course is also the double-headed eagle, and the Orban scepter, which tells you that, you know, you rule the world if you drink from one of these mugs, because that's what the Orban scepter does. And you've also got St. George, the Christian warrior, slaying the dragon of fake news and untruth, which is what we do on the Duran, and it's what you will be able to do if you drink from one of these mugs, because you'll be so empowered by the effect of drinking from them that you will be able to understand what story is BS instantly, just as we are able to.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran.
Can I say something about my shirt?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
These are. So, as I said, we make lots of shirts today for a change. Because also it's a cold, wet day. I put on one of these long sleeve shirts, t-shirts. I
think people need to see the logo too.
They need to see the logo. There it is. You see, it's this beautiful double-headed eagle. Also, it's another gorgeous shirt. It's perfect for cooler weather, such as the sort that we're having now. It's also 100% cotton. It's just, beautifully cut and made. It's very high quality. It's very stylish when you go out, when you wear it around the house, or even if you wear it on social occasions. And you will certainly help yourself if you buy one of these shirts, and you will help us too.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.